Hello guys and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 out of 2 games between YueJin and Chickendew in round 2 of the second European tournament. So since I've casted the majority of the good games from round 1, we're now moving on to round 2, and due to this being a Swiss style tournament, we will see as the tournament progresses the games being much closer because the player skill will start to even out as the matchups progress. So that will be interesting to see, and you can see that starting to take effect here as YueJin has been put up against Chickendew in the second round, and both of these players have shown very good performances before. Chickendew is also responsible for running this tournament, so big thanks to him. But today's map is Caumont le Vent, and on the allied side we do see the guards Armoured under command of YueJin, and on the Axis side Chickendew is going to be using the 21st Panzer. So this is a matchup I have not seen in a while. It's quite an old school matchup really, and we will have to wait and see how Chickendew can play around this, because in the early game he does have the S307 pack, he has the Panzer Habitzer, which is a combination that can really do well at the 1200 meter range. But at the closer ranges, YueJin can really dominate with the Cromwell 7, with the Cromwell 5s, with the Cromwell 6 even, that has the 1200 meter range HE. So that's going to be difficult, I think, for Chickendew to play around. He's going to be basically relying on this S307 pack quite a lot early on, and if YueJin manages to break that down, then we may see a bit of a salient early. The other thing that Chickendew is going to have to worry about is infantry availability. The Guards Armoured is slightly better for that than the 21st Panzer, and it may be something that YueJin will be able to exploit in the close range engagements in this forest, for example, on the bottom side. So I hope that Chickendew doesn't overcommit to any infantry engagements and just focuses more on the top and open areas of the map. Let's see what exactly is going down. So over on the right side here for Chickendew, he has that S307 pack. He's also brought in the Brummbär. He's got 2 units of Panzer Grenadiers following up in the U304 and the SBW222 with the Recon. Those are pretty damn nice. The 2-star 20 mils can do a lot of damage. Then further down, more Panzer Grenadiers and 2 Panzer Grenadiers on the bottom side. For YueJin, he is going to be bringing in the Cromwell 7 at the start. We see the Humber Mark III there, the 2 units of rifles and command infantry following that up. On the bottom side, it's going to be 2 Humber Mark IIIs following up 2 more units of rifles, the command infantry and a 6-pounder. So YueJin focusing more on an infantry style gameplay on the bottom side, not supporting this with any heavy armor as such, just going to be trying to utilize the Humber Mark III to take on the infantry that Chickendew brings in. Meanwhile, putting a lot of aggression on the top side with the Cromwell 7 may allow him to engage the units that Chickendew is bringing in, but that S307 pack, if it keeps at range, should be able to stop the Cromwell from making too much ground. Let's speed up this deployment, get the game underway, and then we can have a look at the orders and exactly where these troops are planning to head and what kind of matchups we are going to see. I think it's very likely that the Cromwell 7 is going to be butting heads with the S307 pack. All of these units are spreading up to the top side, and pretty much exactly the same for YueJin. This U304 looks like it's going to end up unloading in this town. The idea being that these Panzer Grenadiers will likely try and push maybe across the field a little bit to keep the front line forwards in the mid. Because one thing that is pretty difficult for Chickendew to do, if he doesn't cover this centre field with like a Panzer Habitzer, for example, is keep the front line forwards by having an infantry squad in the middle. Because what YueJin could potentially do, for example, is just have a vehicle like the Humber Mark III run down the Panzer Grenadiers if they are in the open. And therefore, Chickendew will have to be careful about his placement early on. and try and find ground elsewhere. So far, so good. YueJin has found the 53% territory lead early on, but neither player has engaged just yet. Here we see the infantry coming up upon each other. The Panzer Grenadiers should win in a ranged engagement against the rifles, but it really does depend quite a bit on the fire support from both sides, and you can see these Panzer Grenadiers unloaded into the open here going to take a hell of a beating from the machine guns and so on that are firing upon them. 222 does get weapon jammed. That is now completely useless, and this Panzer Grenadier is rightly running the hell out of there. S307 pack is going to find line of sight onto the Cromwell 7 though. Will start to fire, bounces the first shot. I was surprised it actually hit the first shot due to its lack of veterancy, but still managed to do so. Now the Brumbier going to be looking to smash those rifles. If he can destroy the building, that will remove the cover from the rifles, and that will actually be quite a good move for Chickendew to get rid of this oppressive start here from YueJin. I think what Chickendew really needs to do is kind of like stabilize in the early game, build up to the late game to the point where he can bring in a King Tiger and really push the game home. Whereas YueJin, it's all about the Phase A and Phase B and utilizing his, I would say, stronger units to break through Chickendew's defenses. So that first shot there, Cromwell 7 track wheel damaging the Brumbier, is very nice indeed. Due to that being an 800 meter range engagement, the Cromwell 7 does have about 15 AP, and that's more than enough to penetrate the the 12 front armor of the Brumbier. But out of nowhere, the Humber Mark III side shots the S307 pack, and the S307 pack, they just have no side armor. Well, they do have, I think there's like one side armor, but it's not enough to stop a 3 AP Humber Mark III with 2-star veterancy from finding the kill. That is absolutely insane. Really unfortunate there for Chickendew. Just got caught out whilst he was trying to micro it into a better position, probably trying to move it down towards the center so that it could maintain its range against these closer range units. But now the Stuart 6 has come in, but the Cromwell is going to finish off the Brumbier. And that's two very expensive units for Chickendew to lose early on against what is already a pretty scary force on this top side. Panzer Grenadiers, as soon as they open up, are going to get smashed by machine guns as well. This is a very, very difficult thing to defend at the moment, because every time infantry reveals themselves, they will be pinned down as the rifles continue to advance. All that YueJin will need to do is make sure that he has the infantry availability there to continue the push. If he runs out of infantry, then these Panzer Grenadiers will be able to hold because they can sit on return fire, not engage at a distance, and then the vehicles, if they want to make ground, will have to move into Panzerfaust range to spot them, assuming that the Recce doesn't just run into them. But the SBW-223 here, that's going to be shooter knocked and crew wounded. Humber Mark III trying to finish that off, and that's one beauty of the Guards Armoured, is these Humber Mark IIIs can do a lot of damage early on, and at the moment seems to be doing the same in the mid. 222 takes an engine stall from one of the Humbers, whilst the Cromwell 7 comes over and starts to take shots as well. So 57% territory lead here for YueJin. Those initial couple kills really made all the difference here, and it's getting to a point where YueJin's going to be very hard to dislodge on this top side. If he finds that little bit extra territory, Chickendew is going to be scrambling to try and hold him back. Pack 43 is going to be the item of choice for Chickendew to try and stop this aggression from YueJin. And YueJin will have to be careful about AT guns coming in and preventing this push, but having already killed the S307 pack and seeing like these U304 packs, for example, it's very unlikely there's actually going to be an AT gun, so YueJin can be very aggressive. I think the 21st Panzer is probably one of the only divisions to actually have a Pack 43 in Phase A, and that's something that Chickendew is trying to take advantage of here in order to clean up the Cromwell 7 and this Humber Mark III, because if he takes out the Cromwell Mark VII, then that doesn't only leave him with Stuart 6s, Stuart 6s to deal with, and then he can start to bring in the Panzer 35s, and those can do okay at range, since the Stuart 6 doesn't really have any veterancy. So those Befehl Panzer 35s and the normal Panzer 35s can actually do some work. But Chickendew here, he needs to unload that sooner. That was nearly a very dead Pak 43 before it even unloaded. Going to be moving it into the trees there. It is already technically in cover. I'm not entirely sure if YueJin identified what that was before it hit itself. But it's going to take the shot at the Cromwell 7. It does get the internal fire. That is not enough to get the kill. Now it's got to hit the Hummer Mark III before that pins it down. Otherwise it's going to be in trouble, but does manage to do so. Now needs to continue firing at these vehicles. Chickendew needs to make sure that that is microed in order to do so. Motorized Rifle Leader though have covered the Cromwell 7 and its retreat. Humber Mark III has possibly moved out of line of sight. No, not quite. Pak 43 was just readjusting its position. So Recce, they are going to spot the Aufklärer, but the Aufklärer win out due to the 222 cleaning up the Recce before the Cromwell 6 could clean up the Aufklärer. On the bottom side, there is a lot of aggression here. The close range engagements falling in favour of the rifles of the Guards Armoured, and it's something that YueJin's really taken advantage of with a couple of these Stuart 6s. And the main thing here is that Chickendew has been forced to reinforce the top side. YueJin knows it. He's seen the Pak 43 there. It's a lot of points invested. Meanwhile, YueJin's just been investing in all of these Stuart 6s and been getting well ahead on the map. And that's something that's really coming to fruition right now on this bottom side as these Stuart 6s continue to be aggressive alongside the rifles. And now it's already a +3 in favour of YueJin. So just some decisive kills early on really opened up the game for YueJin already. We'll have to see if Chickendew can bring it back, but currently he's in a dire situation. So basically what needs to happen is this Pak 43 needs to kill some significant units like the Cromwell 6, Stuart 6, Cromwell 7. But of course YueJin going to be smart enough to not let the Cromwell 6 get in range of the Pak 43, instead going to fire position short so that he pins the Pak 43 and does not have to engage it. And the Pak 43 is going to try and squeeze forwards there, but can't really afford to do so since there is a 25 pounder on the field as well. And that is going to help pin down the Pak 43 and prevent it from being a threat. And with that being the case, YueJin's tanks are raring to go once again and will be being aggressive on that top side. On the bottom, Panzerschreck trying to get close enough to the Stuart 6 reveals itself, does get taken out, and now the Stuart 6 engaging the PanzerHDGaming at close range is not ideal for Chickendew due to this only having 4 armour at the end of the day, and 8 AP, now amplified to 10 due to the range, is more than enough to take that out with a hit on target. Also, the PanzerHDGaming will be driving away, showing side armour, so that's going to be even less for YueJin to worry about. So we're up to 70%, and it just seems to have become a snowballing effect. We have just gone into phase B, and if there was ever a chance of Chickendew coming back, it would be now, because he will have access to more AT guns potentially, maybe even Panzer IVs, and if he can kill these tanks on the bottom side, then he'll leave himself in a very good position. So YueJin needs to be careful he doesn't overextend, because he's still in a pretty vulnerable position. Like if a Panzer IV-G, like has come into the top side, comes into the bottom side and rolls up this road, Stuart 6s really aren't going to be doing too much about that. They will be taking the shots, the accurate shots from the Panzer IV-G, and that could do a lot of damage. Surprised to actually see the Panzer IV-G come in on the top side before the bottom side. But maybe it's due to this Pak 43 being neutralized by the 25 pounder so easily. Now, smoke has come down from the 257. Kind of acting as a deterrent against YueJin right now. He's just trying to keep his tanks out of harm's way. And you can see that YueJin's also being relatively cautious on this bottom side. Going to let his motorized rifles go first. Surround and kill off these Panzer Grenadiers is also looking to be an objective of his. And once those are out of the way, he can then continue the push towards the spawn. The other thing that he can do now, since he does have a couple of cheap half tracks, these M5 half tracks, he could maybe just fast move them to this deployment point on the right bottom side here. Because as you can see on Caumont Le Vent, there's only 2 land spawns. So neutralizing one would really give you a huge advantage over your opponent, although if you're getting to the spawn, then that's already likely the case. So the Panzer Grenadiers, they kill off the Humber Mark III. And they are going to be spotted by the Recce here. So I think this Cromwell 6 is going to end up opening up onto them. And with that being the case, while the motorized rifles can just come up behind them and potentially find the surrender, removing salient from Chickendew, and then they can continue to make ground. So another combination of the Panzer IV and the SBW 232 arriving here. But since all of these vehicles have now moved into the cover of the town, it's going to be very difficult for Chickendew to find any serious kills with this combination of units. He's going to be forced to get up close and personal with YueJin if he wants to make the ground back. And all the while, YueJin's just going to sit here racking up the points. So it's amazing in this game, you can see just how hard the Guards Armoured have snowballed. YueJin just bringing in everything he needs now. He's got in artillery, he's bringing in anti-air. Basically shoring up his defense. Probably doesn't need to get any more aggressive. Quite happy sitting on a +4, leaving the ball in Chickendew's court. So these Panzer IVs are a very interesting unit actually. They only have 6 front armour compared to a normal Panzer IV. But they do come in at the 2-star veterancy with the 6 actually on the main gun. And that combination is very, very strong. So there you can see first shot killed the half track, second shot hits an internal fire onto the Stuart 6. Unfortunate that he doesn't find the kill there. That's the second internal fire that's actually prevented a straight up kill onto the opposing unit for Chickendew. So he's probably getting quite annoyed about that. Panzer Grenadier on the bottom side trying to hold their ground, but not quite going to be able to do so. Panzer Lorraine are going to be brought in to help out. But it's just a really awkward position here for Chickendew. He's tried really, really hard to sort of stop losing as many units as he can. And you can see that he has started to build up some resemblance of a force. But due to the kills going so far in favour of YueJin early on, the disparity of units on the map is absolutely huge. And that just makes it very difficult for Chickendew to push back into what is quite a well-defended position. So the Pioneers are a nice choice, especially if they can make it into the town, but it's really going to require the backup of fire support units like the Panzer IV and the 232. Because every time an infantry squad comes to the edge of the town like these motorized rifles, they should be under fire by other units. But currently it's just the 222 which is engaging the Humber Mark III, and the Su-304 tried to poke forwards but is getting forced back by the Cromwell 6 and the Stuart 6. So now on the bottom side, the Panzer trying to get involved, does absolutely annihilate the Humber Mark III. Going to be continuing on its way down there, I would expect, to clean up the M5 half track. But here comes YueJin with a Typhoon AT, close range, absolutely returns the kill there with a nice strike onto Chickendew's Panzer. So anything that Chickendew is going to try and do now YueJin probably has a counter for. He's been building up as much as he needs, like even bringing in these AA pieces, although he hasn't seen a single air piece out of Chickendew just yet. But that is a lovely kill for the 17-pounder. Finds the bailout onto the Panzer 4G. It's going to be starting to engage the 232. Chickendew is forced to bring in the ME-109 G2BR-21 to stop the 17-pounder from securing those kills, but the Tempest kills the ME-109, and surely it's only a matter of time now until the Humber Mark III can kill the 232. But the Humber Mark III is getting low on ammunition, so maybe not today. Panzer 4G sits there not being able to do very much, and that would require some supply to repair, but is it really worth it at this point? You got 30 seconds left on the clock, Chickendew. I don't think an Opal Blitz munition's really gonna change the outcome of this game. Goes back to a +3. Gives Chickendew a few more seconds, but when you get this close to the 2,500 points, it doesn't really matter what the score is at this point, or the ticking score, as it doesn't really make too much of a difference. 20 points to go. YueJin's just played a very, very solid game, and his Cromwell 7 certainly showed up with the kill onto the Brumbier, and the Humber Mark III annihilating the SG-07 pack pretty much sealed the deal for this first game. And after that, Chickendew just couldn't find a way back in. Possibly Boyd Sherman's would have been a nice idea. Would have had maybe a bit more pressure pushing into a close range engagement. But at the end of the day, with YueJin's positioning, getting all the way into that town, it just was getting harder and harder for Chickendew at the end of the game. So 1,335 kills to 305 losses for YueJin. Very, very dominating performance. And I think it's the first time we've seen him in this tournament, so a great showing from him out the gate. He did play the first round, but I believe his opponent forfeited, or he just didn't play his game for whatever reason. So yeah, here we are in the second round with the first time we've seen him. This Humber Mark III, getting the SG-07 pack was absolutely nasty. Cromwell 7 cleaning up the 222, 223 and the Brumbier on the top side. These Stuart 6s pushing down on the bottom side. Really nice choice of units to support the rifles as they continued their advance, and just to add insult to injury, Typhoon AT comes in and takes out the Panzer Howitzer that reinforced. After that, destroyed the Humber Mark III. These Panzer 4Gs, they can be really good at range, but when you get forced into those close range engagements that YueJin was setting up, they do lack that effectiveness that a Boyd Sherman in the 21st Panzer would otherwise have. But that is about it. Congratulations to YueJin for taking the first game. We'll have to see in the second game if Chickendew can bring one back. Both very good players, so look forward to it. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.